Welcome to a special finals edition of Shootaround. My name is Paolo de Rosario alongside three-time PBA Coach of the Year, Coach Gregorio. Coach, now with the series at 2-1, still in favor of Barangay Ginebra, TNT Tropang Giga showing everyone that this is gonna be a tough series for Ginebra.
Oh, they played with a lot of urgency. I mean, they really wanted to win Game 3. It was so hard for them. Had they dropped that ball game, it would have been over. No way for Barangay Ginebra to lose 4 in a row. But now, it's only 2-1, and the momentum all of a sudden shifting towards the side of TNT.
Well, you know what? We have a lot to talk about here, so let's get it started with a little segment that we like to call the First Five. Okay.
Ulit.
Alright. Okay na kami!
Sige nga. Parang hindi ko na mapagkatiwalaan mata ko eh.
Okay.
Sige.
Pass ba? Welcome to another special finals edition of Shootaround. My name is Paolo de Rosario alongside three-time PBA Coach of the Year, Coach Gregorio. Coach, with the series poised at 2-1, still in favor of Barangay Ginebra, the TNT Tropang Giga bounced back in a big way last time around to turn this one into a more competitive series.
Just a critical victory for TNT. They were down 2-0. It was a close one. The Game 2 was 92-90. But they played with so much urgency. They focused on defense. They limited Barangay Ginebra to just 67 points, the lowest in the series, and that paved the way for us to have a good series. The series is now down 2-1 in favor of Barangay Ginebra.
Well, it was never going to be easy, and we have a lot to talk about here, so let's get started out with our First Five. Well, the first two games were pretty close, but Game 3 was a different story. 2 quarters in particular for Barangay Ginebra were terrible. They did not show up in that second and that fourth quarter, Coach. Let's go through the numbers here. Let's go through what happened. What did the TNT Tropang Giga do to make Barangay Ginebra so uncomfortable throughout the game?
Well, the first quarter, it was still Barangay Ginebra. They were able to score 26 big points while limiting TNT to just 21. But the second quarter, as what you've mentioned, Barangay Ginebra was just limited to 8 points. 6 points coming from Aljan Mariano and the other 2 points from Stanley Pringle. And that was enough. That onslaught by TNT paved the way for them to have a better finish towards the end. It was all about defense, limiting Stan Pringle to just 11 points in Game 3.
Well, there's the final score, 88-67 in favor of the TNT Tropang Giga. Barangay Ginebra still leads the series 2-1. But with the victory last time around, TNT have ensured themselves that they are back in the series. I think the most surprising number here, Coach, is the fact that inside points were dominated by TNT, which typically Barangay Ginebra does so well with.
That was a conscious effort for TNT, really making sure that always, every time Troy Rosario is inside, he would pound his defender inside near the basket on the deep seal. He scored 15 points in that game, 14 inside the paint. Turnovers, look at that, 23 turnovers for Barangay Ginebra. The biggest number of turnovers in the 3 games that they've played so far, resulting to 30 turnover points for TNT.
Well, just to remind everyone, that result was historic for Barangay Ginebra and Coach Tim Cone in a bad way. That was the least amount of points Barangay Ginebra have scored under Coach Tim Cone in the finals of the PBA in any conference. So that's something that they hope to rectify next time around. Now, we mentioned Troy Rosario a while ago, and if you are a fan of TNT Tropang Giga, throughout this bubble experience, you've been asking yourselves, where is Troy Rosario? Well, he showed up in the last game.
Just discouraging when you take a look at the numbers of Troy Rosario way back in their series against Phoenix. He was only averaging 6.6 points per game, 1 out of 10 from deep for 10%. In the finals, games 1 and 2, he was averaging a little better at 9.5 points per ball game, but still 1 out of 8 from deep for a total of 12%. But in game 3, look at that, 15 points, 7 out of 9 from the field. That's 78% from the field. He did not take any threes in that particular ball game, and he was adjudged as our best player of the game.
Absolutely. Troy Rosario bouncing back in a big way there. Coach, what would it take for TNT to get him going more consistently in this series? Because as it's shown in the last game, once he's rolling, he is tough to stop.
It's all about the game plan. That 4 position is a huge advantage for Troy Rosario, especially if he's going up against the rookie Arvin Tolentino and even Aljon Mariano because of the height disparity. So what is TNT consciously doing? Instead of taking him out and shoot threes, he has no advantage if he takes the ball away from the paint. But the moment he goes inside, on deep seal, right after they make a stop or they get a defensive rebound, he is just charging all the way. As the first big man to post near the basket, it's almost impossible for him to be double teamed. It's just a catch and turn and shoot situation for Troy Rosario.
So let's see whether or not that becomes one of the calling cards for the rest of the series here for the TNT Tropang Giga. Now, on the way back to Barangay Ginebra, though, it has been a up and down series for them, especially if you look at what happened in that third game. And even if you ask Coach Tim Cone, that second game was not great for them by any stretch of the imagination. Sure, they came away with a win, but they were not happy with how they performed. A quote from Coach Tim Cone after the last game is that we are not here to win a game, we are here to win a series. I tell that to the players all the time. And Coach, you know that it isn't just about one game. It's about accumulating those wins to win the series.
And what is nice is every time Coach Tim Cone opens his mouth, it becomes gospel truth to everyone. And that is exactly how he plays a series. Once in a while, because of that adjustment, especially on the losing team, he would end up losers. But what is important is at the end of the series, they would always end up with a victory to pile up another championship ring. And for Barangay Ginebra, that's all they are looking at, that championship trophy hoisted in a best-of-7 series.
Well, in the gospel of Coach Tim Cone, one of my favorite quotes is always is that my partner here is one of his toughest opponents in the history, in his history in the PBA. Now, talking about history, the Philippines is about to make history as it will host its first ever FIBA Basketball World Cup come 2023. And the logo was just revealed the other day. We'll be co-hosting alongside Indonesia and Japan. And here is a look at the logo.
I talked to the late Patrick Bowman. I said, Mr. Bowman, what do you think if we were to, instead of just the Philippines bidding, can we organize a three-country hosting event, no, for FIBA, which is the first. Obviously, 2 other countries come from Asia. So we eventually formed the consortium, and Patrick said, go ahead, we're open. That's a very interesting concept for FIBA. So they listened to us. We competed against Uruguay, Argentina, and Russia.
We're hosting the World Cup in 2023, together with Japan and Indonesia. Of course, that's very interesting for us, and really, it also marks a little bit shorter now, but it marks the 1,000 days to the World Cup, and it's not a long time anymore. So very exciting because it's 1,000 days to the World Cup that will be held in the Philippines. But at the same time, I think if you look at the logo and you see the logo, there's a tinge of the puso that we all know of, no? So puso ng Pilipino. So very exciting times for us.
The logo is supposed to capture the essences of the Japanese and the Indonesian culture themselves, no? Pero nakikita mo yung logo itself, yung nangingibabaw yung elemento ng pagkapuso ng Pinoy, no? I hope all of you will take pride and joy in not only seeing the logo but in hosting the event, and particularly this time of the year where it's Christmas and because of the pandemic, it's good to have a spot of good news, no? That will lift the spirits of people.
There are three elements there to the logo. The heart that represents the puso of that's now famous all over the world because of Gilas Pilipinas. The Naismith Trophy in the middle, the goal of every single team, and the year 2023. Coach, with that logo out there, we now know that we're going to have quite a great look going into the next World Cup.
It's generating so much excitement this early, and it's giving me goosebumps, to be honest with you. By 2023, we will be witnessing the best and the brightest basketball stars in the world, and that is why it's a source of pride for every Filipino.
Of course, we want to make a splash there, and we're still we're worried, we're concerned, and of course, we're excited about what type of team we can come up with come 2023. And one of the prospects in this particular tournament, in this particular cycle of development of young Gilas players, is Kobe Paras. We take a look at Coach Tab Baldwin, who had glowing words to say about Kobe Paras in the last window, wherein he featured out of position. According to Coach Tab, I quote, "We played Kobe out of position because we really needed his size and strength around the basket. We were aware that we were asking him to make an additional sacrifice playing out of position, but never a peep from him about that. He did his job and did it to the best of his abilities." That's Coach Tab Baldwin about Kobe Paras. And Coach, you understand, I'm sure, just how difficult it is to ask certain players to play in positions they're not familiar with, or they are a position of need that they need to fill in all of a sudden.
And that is why you have to give it to Kobe for embracing and giving himself an opportunity to play outside his comfort level. It may have affected his personal performance in terms of scoring and even just making plays around the rim, because he is asked really to set screens, get rebounds, and not really being the focal point on offense. But the most important thing really is, and I've been telling people about this, the moment we are now taking a closer look at the kind of players we will have for 2023, it's not just the best player, but it is the player who will fit in the best. And that is why the kind of performance that Kobe Paras played in the Bahrain bubble will give him another look, because he was able to do things the right way and he was able to embrace something that he's not used to doing.
Now, Kobe Paras showing everyone that he can play different roles within a team, and hopefully that will help him crack that senior team for Gilas Pilipinas. We still have a lot more to talk about, especially concerning the TNT Tropang Giga and Barangay Ginebra in Game 4 of their series. We'll have more of that when we return.